Hello, everybody. Today we're going to answer the question, why did Socrates know nothing? So he had never actually said these exact words. The story goes from Plato's Apology that he consulted the oracle at Delphi, who had direct access to Apollo. And since the gods cannot lie by their nature, um, it was trusted that when Apollo said, or the oracle of Delphi interpreting, said that Socrates is the wisest of all men, Socrates was confused because he claimed that he knew nothing. Then he consulted with other people that were considered to be wise as well. And Socrates realized that, yes, they were not as wise as him. So he agreed that he was the wisest of them all, and yet he knew nothing. How could this be? Well, the Socratic method is a method of deduction. Socrates would walk around Athens asking people questions such as, what is justice? They would give an answer. He would poke holes in it. They would revise their answer. He would poke holes in that and break it down into, finally, it would be nothing. They would get frustrated and say, well, Socrates, okay, I don't know what justice is. What is it? And Socrates would say he doesn't know either. Well, Socrates was a smart man, but he only used deduction. So using deduction, you will get as much knowledge as Socrates has, which is nothing. If we look at a more modern example, David Hume. David Hume basically certified this by saying that through deduction, you cannot ever observe anything but patterns that have happened in the past. And these patterns cannot logically apply to the future. You cannot deduce causality. Anything that we believe will happen in the future is just a matter of custom or habit. And then even more modernly, Karl Popper, he would agree with Hume and say that, yes, induction is invalid. We cannot induce anything. Deduction is the only game in town, so we can never really know anything. We can only falsify or disprove or refute things. So they accept deduction while denying induction as a source of knowledge. Let's look at the most famous deductive argument. So here it is. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. This is often regarded by almost everyone as airtight logic and is a deductive argument. But there's some hidden premises here which must be induced. For instance, the concept of mortal. All men are mortal. That means that all men will die. Well, how do we know that all men will die? It is not because we have deduced it. It is because of an integration about concretes in reality. We have the reference in reality that every single person that has ever lived is either living or has died. There is nobody that lives forever. Just because Hume would argue that everybody has died, there is no logical reason to believe that everybody living now will die. But this is an error in the sense that causality still applies to the identity. The identity of all biological organisms, definitely humans, is the fact that death is inevitable. And we get this by observing many concrete facts and abstracting from them that this is part of the identity. So causality, what will happen is an identity acting. The action, all actions come from entities, and all entities act in according to their identity. If this wasn't true, it would be a contradiction. So causality cannot be deduced, which Hume is right about, but it doesn't mean that it is not true. Just because we cannot deduce it does not mean that it does not exist. I've given this example before, but if I pick a handful of blueberries and I eat half of the handful, well, Hume would say there is no logical reason to think that the remaining blueberries in my hand are blueberries at all, because I cannot deduce that fact. Well, that is true. but I can induce the fact. I can understand that blueberries have an identity since there has been nothing that has acted upon these blueberries while they've been in my hand, that they will continue being blueberries. Their identity will hold. The action of blueberries in my hand means that they will continue being blueberries. So causality is derived from the law of identity. And skeptics just don't understand this. They say that induction is wrong because, or induction is invalid because you can be wrong. Well, that's the problem with philosophy. You have to know things. If you want to negate knowing things in order to do philosophy, well, you're not going to be able to do philosophy. You have to know things. We have to know many, many concretes, many reference in reality. We must know that the wind blows, and the same wind that blows the trash in the wind is the same wind that blows the pollen through the air, which then spreads the seed. It's the same wind that cools my forehead when I'm sweating. And just because the wind acts differently on the trash, on the pollen, and on my forehead, that is because it is interacting with different identities. The pollen, the trash, my forehead all act in accordance to what they are, and they will continue doing so because their identities hold. Any rejection of this is a rejection of knowledge. And that is what most people are doing. Most people, most philosophers especially, are skeptics that say that nothing can be known because there are things outside the syllogism. And the only things that we can know for sure are things within the syllogism. As they call it, informal logic is the logic that exists outside the syllogism. And that's problematic because how do you know? Well, you have to know things. You have to abstract into concepts. You have to integrate. And we do this using our reason. Causality will continue because identity will continue. Change and all these other things do not negate identity. And it's really that simple. Skeptics dominate the philosophical space, and they have nothing to add. And it's quite tiring from my point of view. So this has been me actually thinking today. If you think I was doing a bad job, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.